Philmont Trek Talk Facebook group live chat. We get together every month and we talk about anything we can think of that we think is going to help people have a better experience at Philmont. Right now, this is for the month of August, so we've just wrapped up the summer Trek season, and I know a lot of people think that's like all you ever think about with Philmont is the summer Trek season. One of the things we're going to talk about tonight are some other things you can do at Philmont throughout the rest of the year. Philmont doesn't shut down just because the summer Treks are over. There's lots of other things you can do. We're going to touch on some of those. Folks may be aware that Philmont had a big hailstorm a couple days ago, and it tore some stuff up. There was some drama in the pictures that we saw from that. We're going to talk a little bit about that, and I have a message from one of the single digits that I'm going to share with everyone. Let's see. We had a question about how's the Trek lottery work. I'm going to see if I can get one of our experienced advisors here to talk about that. What else do we have here? Do people over prepare for Philmont Treks? If we have time, we can dig into that one. I thought that could be a neat discussion. Tent considerations. That was another question that's been out there in the group recently that we can talk about a touch. So, there we go. I needed to turn my light up. Good. So let's see. And then the other thing with summer Treks being completed, Matthew's here. He's going to talk about recapping his first Trek as an advisor. So those are the things you have to look forward to. A reminder to everyone, a couple reminders. Number one, this is a participatory event. If you depend on us to keep this interesting without any feedback from folks out there watching, it may or may not happen. So please, if you're out there, tell us who you are, where you're from. Have you done a Trek? Are you about to do a Trek? Like, why are you here? What are you trying to get out of this? That's probably enough to get us started. Okay, introductions. Hi. I'm Jeff. I'll be your tour guide this evening. I am the founder of the Philmont Trek Talk group, the proprietor of GearReport.com, which Camping Gear Report, one of our kind of sub brands, is the sponsor of the group and of this broadcast. Let me see if I do that. We can come back here. And there is Gear Report and Camping Gear Report. When other people doing introductions, I'll share the links to those in the chat. All right, so we'll shut that down for now. Let's see, what else? Former skipper of Sea Scout Ship 4019 in Burlington, North Carolina, and assistant scoutmaster with Troop 19, also in Burlington. I have been to Philmont. I've been on 5 treks. I've completed 4 treks. And there was drama associated with that. And the reason I bring that up is I got to show you something. I'm going to steal the screen before we do. You know what? I'm not going to. Remind me to talk about this later, Darrel. I'm going to wait till there's more people. Okay. That's it for me. So, Darrel, please introduce yourself to the group.
Hi, I'm Darrel Tadsen, Greater St. Louis Area Council, actually St. Charles, Missouri. Multiple treks, council contingent coordinator for multiple years, 10, 15, I guess, something like that. Anyways, was at Philmont for a couple of weeks this summer while I had 5 crews in the contingent. And they were out hiking. So welcome to all. Glad to be here. And yeah. Over to Rob.
Yes. Yeah. Rob Smith. I'm also in the Greater St. Louis Area Council, just by chance, on the other side of the river. And I'm also with Troop 85 in O'Fallon, Illinois, as the High Adventure Advisor and whatever else they want me to do. I'm also the proprietor of highadventurescouting.com to give people some other ideas for high adventure other than the 4 BSA high adventure bases. So
we're allowed to do stuff that's outside of the official BSA.
Amazing, huh?
Adventure bases.
I did. We had 2 treks this summer in our troop that
wow.
were individual treks. So Boundary Waters, and then I took the crew to Colorado. So lots of fun.
One of those was the official Andy Parrish Outdoors trek, right?
Yes, pretty close. We did almost everything that he did. We did a different 14er, and we didn't quite get around the whole trek we were going to go on, but injuries happen, and that's the way it goes. So
yeah, I hear you.
Only the adults got injured, so that's it.
Oh, of course.
That's typical.
Exactly. All right, up to you, Mark.
Hey, I'm Mark Scwheer. I'm in Iowa City, Iowa with Hawkeye Area Council. I'm a life member of the Philmont Stafft Association, heavily involved with the scholarship committees there. Right now we're gearing up for staff scholarships so that we can give some money to help award staff members so they can afford to come back next year. And we've got my granddaughters here tonight, and my Cub Scout, Sophie Scout is her real name, granddaughter is with us tonight. So if you hear some commotion in the background, that's my daughters. Claire's going to be a tiger next year.
Nice.
Super.
All right. And if you don't know what the Philmont Stafft Association is, I'm going to drop the link out there as well. Really more pertinent if you've been on staff, I think. But they occasionally do things that pertain to people who were not on staff as well. So we're going to throw love out there to everyone tonight. That's just how we roll. All right. Was that it?
I guess I'll go next.
All right.
All right, guys. My name is Matthew Hensley, and I am the Scoutmaster with Troop 624 out of the Daniel Boone Council in Asheville, North Carolina.
Nice.
I am a advisor for Crew 717 Juliet, and we made it back a couple weeks ago and had a great time, and I'm here to talk about that.
Awesome. Yeah,
and the Daniel Boone Council has a high adventure base. Just point that out. Yeah, and I've been there. It's nice. Great camp.
Yes, our boys love the scout camp this year. We had several that spent 4 to 5 weeks there this summer.
Wow.
That's probably the coldest waterfront of all time. So
absolutely, if you're gonna do the swim and merit badge, do it elsewhere.
Do quickly.
Yeah. Fun bit of trivia.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with Philmont. At one point years ago, I was hired to be to run the archery range at Camp Daniel Boone, and my wife was hired to do handicraft before we were married. And then things happened, and I ended up in boot camp instead of scout camp. And then she opted not to work there, and I think we left them in a bit of a lurch with some last minute cancellations. But that was on me. So I'd like to give my belated apology to everyone at Camp Daniel Boone back in 91 or whatever that was when I didn't show up. So
they
bad.
Still have a sign out front. You didn't know that? Yeah.
Now I know. Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for being here. Really looking forward to seeing what we can come up with to really help people to have the absolute best trek possible. So let me pull my agenda back up on the other screen here. Oh, hailstorm update.
Here, we got a new one.
Holy smokes.
Sneaking away.
The hailstorm, what I keep hearing people say, like, well, it's been 80 years that Philmont's been around, and they haven't had anything like this happen before. And let me see if I can share the screen and bring some of these things up. I mention it because for some of us, there was a lot of drama, like, oh my goodness, what's going on, right? And then I guess I realized later, like, there are people who probably didn't even know that the hail was coming down so bad that it busted out the fancy, painted or stained glass, whatever it is, window at
Villa
in the villa. Oh, we've even got a picture of it here. That's what it looked like pre-holes. And actually, I don't know if it went all the way through or if it just hit the outer layer or what. I don't know. But apparently that appears to be where some of those holes were. We posted a number of pictures. Number of people posted a number of pictures of crazy hail and crazy damage all over the ranch. And I talked to several people there. I personally, a friend of mine, his car was totaled in the staff parking lot, like literally totaled. And he's supposed to drive here in about a week to go home, and is not sure how he's going to do that because he doesn't have a back windshield or, anything like that. So there are a number of staff in that situation where their cars, and it looks like as I'm scrolling, like maybe, there's another one. So if you hadn't seen them, go check them out on the group. There are lots of posts that have pictures and surprisingly lots of videos of these massive hailstones coming down. I heard the museum, some of their skylights got ruptured. The dining hall, a bunch of the windows on one side of the dining hall got busted out. Tent City, oh my goodness, Tent City was almost every single tent that I saw a picture of had multiple holes in it.
That's crazy.
Many of them were kind of shredded. So
look at the picture there. Look at that. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there we go. Yep. Well, that's one way to do it. I'm sitting here scrolling, trying to find the pictures that got posted. I don't see the one I was looking for, but lots of damage. So what I wanted to share with you, a couple texts that I got. I think I'll just read this last one. And this is from Shelly O'Neill, is a caller unit 3, the what is she? Business direct. I can't remember what her title is. She's one of the top people at Philmont, the permanent staff.
She's business officer, finance.
Right. She's the queen of Philmont, you could say. I don't know. That's probably not appropriate to say that. Whatever. She says, all is good. Philmont continues to serve participants. Thanks. Appreciate the well wishes. I passed on that everyone in the group was concerned. Seasonal staff need the help getting home for those that have damaged cars, etc. That's their big concern. And of course, everything, because they have lots of programs that are still ongoing right now. And she wanted to pass on to the whole group. Thanks as always for your support. So the staff is aware that we have concerns, and many of us wish we could be out there helping them. They've had a lot of cleanup to do, but the big news is they have ongoing program right now. There was an OA trail crew trek on the trail, and I have personally confirmed that they had no drama with the storm. They were fine. Our friend Scott O'Mary, who is typically on the panel with us, he was at the PTC, and actually he was at Rayado Ridge when it came through. It was at the PTC right before it came through, and Rayado Ridge camp didn't even get any rain. So this was an incredibly localized storm. It impacted base camp, the museum, the PTC. That was pretty much it. I heard even just a mile and a half down the road at cattle headquarters, they barely got anything at all, like nothing of note. There was not tremendous drama at cattle headquarters. So incredibly intense but localized storm that caused some pretty intense damage in a small area and then moved on. So
but I have a friend who lives on the east end of town on Highway 58 by the gas station. He hardly got rain.
Right. And I think that we can kind of segue into a generic Philmont weather discussion. We see people quite often pop into the group and ask, hey, what's the weather like in mid-June or early August, or, pick a date, whatever. We're going to be in the South. What should the weather be like? And it's like,
afternoon rain.
Yeah.
Well, at least saying you're going to be in the south helps a little bit, because Philmont is, I say it's about 10 miles east and west and about 20 miles north and south. So I mean, base camp is down in the southeast corner of it all. So 15 miles north, even at home, 15 miles away, you can have a whole different weather pattern.
And with all of the ridges and everything, the weather patterns are very localized. And
especially with the mountain ridge right behind Philmont, everything backs up on the west side and then finally pushes over, and you get what you get.
Yeah.
Or if you're on Baldy, you can see it coming.
Yeah. Well, that's the truth. Yeah.
I have been snowed on every month of the year out there.
Wow. And hail incredibly common if you're up around Baldy. I think probably significantly less common down around base camp, but I think this time of year it's not necessarily uncommon. It's just usually not tangerine size hail, which I literally heard people report that some areas were getting hail that big.
Yep.
And cars in the parking lots that look like they had been hit with, beat with baseball bats. Yeah, one of the PTC meeting rooms there. Yep. Lots of damage. But
I heard today that probably anywhere between 60 and 75 vehicles are probably going to have to be totaled.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if that number includes staff or that's just Philmont vehicles.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I hadn't even considered that. I know one of the videos that someone sent me was shot from the cons cache, the conservation department, where they store all their stuff. And you could see the cons trucks sitting there with, huge hailstones bouncing off of them. But I didn't, I was worried about the people. I wasn't really worried about the truck when I was watching that. But yeah, oh man, lots of things to spend money on. Yep.
So now all the Philmont vehicles look like every other scout camp vehicle.
Right. Yeah, and I feel for the seasonal staff. Some of the kids, you don't work at Philmont as a young person to get rich. Between their travel expenses and gear they have to buy, and other things. So we got a comment here. I've experienced hail all over Philmont. Yeah, it happens. I think some of them they're not making much money, and if their insurance doesn't cover their vehicle, or oh my goodness, think about the people who may not have insurance that would cover that, and then their car's basically totaled. Like they could literally have lost money on the whole gig of working at Philmont. So I feel for them, definitely. So let's see. I think anyone else have anything on the hail that they want to add before we move on? Yeah,
we had hail when we were out there, so
Yeah.
There's one of the rows that either homebound or tent trail bound.
Yeah, I have. I've been hailed on, but not enough to punch holes in the big canvas tents. So that looked very scary. Everyone I talked to was either undercover or able to get to cover before there was any personal risk. But I didn't talk to too many people. So yeah,
we
I
had
hadn't heard
hail
about
when we were on our trek, and it just bounced off the Philmont tents. So
yeah. So
and if we would have had damage to our Philmont tent, we could have exchanged it. So that sounds like a discussion point.
Later. It could be. Yeah, we're at, that's last on our list. If we have time, we'll talk about tents, and I do have a counterpoint for that when we get to it. But for now, I think the guest of honor this evening, Matthew, I think we're all most excited to hear. Matthew, I'd love to hear about your experience, what you expected, what surprised you.
What gear did you wish you had that you hadn't brought, and what did you carry and never use?
Yeah.
So as far as gear goes, I think that the Philmont plan, or the kind of like the pack list that they suggest, and that the Rangers work with you on and say, hey, make sure you have this, make sure you have that. I think it's adequate. I don't know that there was necessarily anything that I really missed by not having anything that wasn't on that list. Personally, after being on a 12-day trek, I would have taken my chair rather than just a sit pad. I would have sacrificed the extra weight and put that on top of my pack and carried that, and been able to take a load off at the end of the day for sure.
So now he's team chair. Yeah.
Team chair for sure. So
I like chairs. Sorry.
Yeah. As far as my expectations, I really didn't have any expectations. We kind of went into it thinking, like Baldy was going to be like our big summit day, and that we're going to conquer Baldy, and some of the preparatory hikes that we had for our boys involved a lot of mileage and a lot of elevation gain in the mountains here of North Carolina. And so I feel like that the boys did a great job as far as preparing for that. But that coming out of Greenwood Canyon and then heading up to Baldy that way, that was intense. So that was probably the hardest hiking day that we had. Was coming out of actually leaving Iris Park, I believe, and going to Greenwood Canyon, and then Greenwood Canyon to Baldy. And then oddly enough, after we left Baldy, we didn't have we saw like the weather rolling in off of Baldy, and was like, we've got to get out of here. Let's get down there to Copper Park. And we didn't have any rain. It looked like it was going to roll in, and then the rain just went away, and I don't think it rained on us the rest of the trip. It was just beautiful weather, and we actually were able to have some campfires there in the campfire ring there at Copper Park, and it was just a beautiful 2 days there on trail there.
Nice.
I don't really think that anything surprised us. One of the things that I think that we would have worked on more had I known, it's one of those kind of things that, you don't know what you don't know. And being a rookie going into this from an advisor standpoint, as well as a participant standpoint, really didn't know about the Philmont cooking method. Didn't know how they hang bear bags. But having done that, I feel like that's something that we can bring back to our boys and kind of and do those things on our camping trips here. And I really like the idea of cooking together as a troop rather than having everybody bring like one or two stoves for themselves, or for one or two people, and then you got 10 people on this trek and you've got 5 stoves and or more, and everybody's kind of cooking their own meal. Everybody's kind of got it's not fostering any unity there. So that's something that I think I want to bring back.
That's a really good point. my son's troop and my troop, when I was a scout, we all cooked individually. So cooking as a group at Philmont was a big change. That's something I guess I hadn't really thought about, but yeah.
I wouldn't have thought
Yeah.
of bringing a stove for every 2 people. That's a lot.
Well, that's how we did it as a troop, though.
Right. Individually, they're on our own backpacking trips or something like that. That's just on like a 1 or 2 day weekend thing. Head out on Friday and then come back Sunday morning, and everybody's got their own stove because they've got their own mountain house meal.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of everybody having the same meal. The troop, if you've got the funds, you can go ahead and pre-purchase those on sales or something like that. And then, whenever it comes time for a big trek, then, or I say big trek, I'm talking about like a camping weekend. You guys can plan those meals, and everybody gets chicken and dumplings, or everybody gets the, guess what it was. What did we have on trail this week? It was, or this year, potted Spam and stuffing. I had to dress that up a little bit, and I put the candied cranberries in on top of that to try and jazz it up a little bit.
I'm gonna have to try that that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, and to that point, if you look at the meals, with not so much the ingredients, but what they're providing, you can go to the local grocery store and just about put together, a meal bag for your weekend camp out.
Yes, absolutely.
And mimic real close to what Philmont provides.
Right.
I think I do that on all our backpacking trips. I'll just put together a menu, and it's based on the Philmont menu, because I know that they're getting the right calorie intake and other things that they look at. So, yeah.
Well, this looks like a really neat trek itinerary. And personally, the only camps that I've stayed at are 1, 11, and 12. 1 and 12 are camping headquarters. Miranda, I hiked through Copper Park for the first time last year, and I've not been to any of the others except may have gone through Sioux many, many moons ago.
Yeah,
but I don't really remember it.
Yeah, Sioux's just right on, I call it the north edge of Poniel.
Right.
It's almost an extension of Poniel. So, but
I know we went through there, but a lot of treks don't make it up to some of those areas where you were kind of off property. So that's actually a pretty neat and interesting trek that you guys went on.
Yeah, he was up in the Vol, which is absolutely leave no trace. And I think Matt shared with me on the side some of the navigation issues. Want to talk to that?
Yeah, we so leaving Rich Cabins, our boys missed the turn because it basically it looked like a washout coming down the mountain, and that actually we should have actually hit that turn and head back up that way and cross into the Valle. And so we actually went about 3/4 mile past, and we actually chose to use that opportunity as we're going to stop here. We're going to eat breakfast, and we've got breakfast with a view looking at Baldy, over top of Rich Cabins. And so we kind of phrased it like that. And I was like, all right, now let's go back down and let's hit our turn. And that actually was a pretty substantial hike coming up from Rich Cabins to Dan Beard and on into Beatty Lakes. Lots of elevation climb right there. That day and the Greenwood Canyon into Baldy was the 2 most difficult hiking days that we had. So,
and when you were in the Vol, um, what was your experience? I'm kind of leading you. There trails.
So the trails there were, it was kind of, once we got past Dan Beard and was on into Beatty Lakes, heading to Beatty Lakes, there were some trails there, but not a lot of cover. So it was kind of hot, but it wasn't that hot because we actually got a bit of an early start whenever we did those days. Because I mean, we're waking up at 4 a.m. On trail by 5:30 kind of thing. Once we can see your shoelaces kind of thing, and we took off there. Got to Beatty Lakes. The boys really enjoyed Beatty Lakes. That was probably one of the most beautiful camps that we had been in. That was one of the more memorable ones that the boys talk about. We got all the way to the first windmill. We actually had water there, so it wasn't completely dry at the first windmill. Got our water, got all the way up to the second windmill, and then we kind of went off trail right there, and we did a little bit of bushwhacking. Some of the boys that had been a little bit more experienced in their orienteering, a lot of them got a chance to utilize that, pick a bearing and set off in that direction. And they did a fabulous job. It was a beautiful hike, and actually was able to shave a little bit of miles off of our trail as well. So we got some valuable orienteering experience, as well as shaving a little bit of mileage off our trek.
Nice.
Yeah, because there are no trails up there. It's really all map and compass.
Mm-hmm.
A few abandoned roads that you can kind of decipher, but nothing of distinction.
Yeah, you take a bearing and for a landmark and hope that you hit it.
Yeah.
That's basically the way things go up there.
Yeah, and the boys did a great job. I was super proud of them.
So did anyone have like a watch or anything that was tracking miles? I'm just curious what your total was compared to the projected total.
So that's actually a good. That day we left Beatty Lakes going to Whitman Vega, I believe. We got up at 4:00 that morning, left at 5:30. I think our projected total was like 13.1 miles that day. If we were to hit all of the trails, but we actually got that down to 6.6 miles that day.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was a substantial decrease in mileage. And so I guess we were one of the first, or one of the very few crews that were able to take part in the program at Whitman Vega with the mountain biking, due to the fact that we got there early enough to where the weather rolling in didn't affect us much. So everybody that wanted to take part in the mountain biking, they were able to do so because the weather hadn't rolled in, and they had juice left in their legs as well, because they only did 6.6 miles, not 13.1.
Oh yeah.
How
Yeah,
anybody
Jeff,
could do that after 13.1 miles is beyond me.
yeah, Jeff, you might scroll down to the other page
Which
where they can see. Yeah, there's your mileage.
which reinforces the thing I always try to preach to crews is get out of camp early. You can take naps later, but if you're out early, you got a much better chance for success during your day, especially to get programs in.
We actually, day 3, I think, right after Whitman Vega, I'll say day 3 on trail, day 4, but on our way to Ring Place was our cons program or our cons project. And we were set up to do that at 10 o'clock on our way from Whitman Vega to Ring Place. So we actually, our crew leader said, "Hey guys, you're sleeping in till 7 tomorrow." So we got to sleep in till 7. So that was pretty nice.
Well,
So, yeah, that was, and your cons project was stream restoration, right?
Yes, we did BDAs. We were packing mud on a dam. We were beavers for the day.
and you did that before or during the trek?
During the trek, we had a 10 o'clock time period where we did 10 to 1 and just basically just cut mud and slap mud up against, wooden staves that they had driven into the ground and
Right.
tried to hold back water.
So that project up there is Philmont Stafft on a site that they've worked with the Forest Service on what they want to accomplish up there.
Yes.
Right. So,
Can you talk about like bear bags in the Vol versus bear bags in Philmont?
Mhm.
So basically the boys were, trying to find, 2 trees there in the Valle. And then, a log or something like that close to where that they can, utilize the bear bags that way, rather than having a bear line that's already established. Basically, they took, the carabiners, hooked them together, grabbed it across trees, and then, had the oops bag put in there on a third line that is tied off to a log. So it's a little bit more involved than just throwing it over a bear line.
Old school method.
Yes.
yeah, they give you an extra bear rope number 3 that you actually make the bear cable.
Yep. It took a little getting used to, but the boys did a great job on that as well.
Although at the top of Greenwood Canyon, you don't have many trees.
No, they actually ended up hiking up the mountain to try and even find trees in order to make that happen. So that was quite the hike to even get bear bags on. My oops bag, there was some kind of animal or something got into my oops bag while on the bear line.
Oh, wow.
It was a dry bag, and I don't know, some kind of critter got into it, but just ripped a hole right into it. So
Those mini bears are getting tricky.
I think it very well could have been a mini bear.
Wow.
Man, while they were
Okay.
laying on the ground, the mini bear probably crawled in.
That would be interesting if it was in the bag when the bag got hoisted and then it had to chew its way out. Yeah, mini bears are vicious with bags. So, question: if we can kind of go back to early on, you said that you didn't really have expectations, you didn't know what to expect. You personally, and I just don't recall hearing. Was there anyone in your crew who had been to Philmont before, or was it complete?
We were a complete
rookies.
rookie crew.
Neat.
Yeah, we had 10 scouts and 3 advisors, and
Yeah.
it was complete rookies, and everybody did a bang up job. Couldn't have been prouder of them. We really focused a lot on mileage up here in the mountains and our elevation. That's on our preparation. That's what we did. We've got a trail over here called the Art Loeb Trail, and it's got some serious elevation gain, and it was a great experience for the boys. And any kind of prep hikes, that's definitely going to be the first hike that we do. That way, if there's some boys out there that say, hey, this is not for me, then they can tell me right then and there.
Yeah. Get that out of the way before people are too committed and put too much money into it.
Yeah. So I see the question there. How was the astronomy program?
Yeah.
It actually rained on us that day.
Oh.
And so it was a bit I was really hoping the way that the moon, the lunar schedule lined up, it was perfect. It was going to be a new moon. There's going to be no moon out there, and so it was going to be just nothing but a blanket of stars. It was going to be perfect, and it was nothing but
Clouds.
And however, they did a great job. They actually still had the astronomy program, and they actually brought it inside the little hut there, or the house that they where everybody was staying or operated out of, and they're at Ring Place, and they had the entire ceiling painted black, and then they had black lit markers on it that was activated by headlamps or a certain luminescent glow. And there was a kid in there that was a really big into science and astronomy, and he led the whole thing. He's actually one of the staff member that was there. He's actually like an astronomy major, and he did a great job. It was awesome.
Excellent. All right. Any more questions for Matt?
So you got any kids that are talking about coming back with another crew or individual programs possibly?
Nobody has mentioned anything to me about coming back. And one of the well, I had the thought in my head. I was like, I was out there on trail, and I'm like, why would anybody come out here and do this again? This is great. And I was like, there was an advisor there at the meeting that had been there 11 times, and I'm like, what in the world? And I hadn't even been on trail yet, and but I hear it's a lot like childbirth. You forget about all the pain, and you come back there and you want to do it again. You had such a great time. And, I kind of feel that way now, 2-3 weeks after the fact. I was like, you know what? In a couple years, few years, some of the younger kids that are in the troop, they're going to hear about the older scouts that had their Trek experience. And I want to have that experience as well. So there's going to be some younger scouts that have the opportunity that would want to do that. And so I think I would put forth the effort to try and head that up.
That's awesome. What will you do different?
Now that I know it's going to be the bear bags and the cooking method, as well as the crew leader right out of the gate. Whenever we're doing our prep hike, 4 or 5 prep hikes, the crew leader is going to be determined at the beginning, and I really want to work like one-on-one with the crew leader. Say, hey, this is your crew. You make the call. You're making the decisions. This isn't me. This isn't, other advisors. You tell us when we're going to stop and when we're going to go and what time we're going to get up and when we're going to eat. And, this is you, gives them a lot of experience so that whenever they do get out there to Philmont, they've got the respect of the boys, and they know that he's making good decisions because he's proven that, on the 4 to 5 hikes that we did prior.
Did you, tentage-wise, bring your own, or do you use Philmont's?
So we actually used Philmont's, and we were actually blessed because they were brand hammer new tents. Yeah. And I would have liked them to have had a little bit bigger vestibule, just to kind of put your shoes, your boots, everything out there. But I mean, it was pretty tight there. But as far as the space wise, I mean, it was a 2-man tent. It wasn't you're going to be cozy in there for sure.
Mhm.
But it's not the Taj Mahal or anything. So, but the tent situation was pretty good for us.
Did you have one of the other brands, or were they MSR tents? Do you remember?
It was not the Thunder Ridge. It
Mhm.
was a new one.
Interesting. Yeah.
I can't remember I can't remember what that was called.
I've heard it's called, I think, the Diamond or something.
I don't remember, but it's neat to hear. I saw that they had some staff testing them last summer. So it's good to see that they have got them out in the camper population this year. So that's neat. All right. All right. Well, that was really helpful information. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm glad you had a good trip. Good trek. And you got to see a lot of things. A lot of people who go to Philmont don't get to see most of what you guys did. So you were on property enough to see some, really solid Philmont stuff, and then got to go up and do some more unique things as well. So that's pretty cool. So a little bit jealous here. All right. And thanks so much for sharing that. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. If anyone else has comments out there in the, let's see, how are we doing time wise? We got about 12 minutes left. So if you have anything you wanted us to answer while we're live here, please put it in the comments now, and we'll try to get to that. What'd you say, Darrell?
Well, one of your items was Trek Lottery.
Yeah. How does it work?
It worked real good.
Yeah.
Well, by now, the 26 people, they should have had their deposits in. First payment, I think, is coming up in October or something now. And if they hold true to the past timetable, somewhere in December, they meaning Philmont registration, whoever, will put out the listing of the 2026 itineraries. They'll be put out through the gateway, and all the crews can then be looking at them, and there's a wide range of discussion on how do you choose your itinerary, and we can get that later. But usually towards the end of January, you need to submit through the gateway to Philmont last year I think was 6 choices.
Yeah, it was 6.
And you rank order them. This is my first choice. This is my second choice. And whatever you do, they put that in, and they have a closing date. I'm just going to pick February 1. Don't hold me to that. February 1, they shut the window and they go away and process this. I don't know, some kind of computer validation program they go through, and typically within 24 hours, you will be notified what itinerary you received. They tell me that it's well into the 90% that people get their first choice. Obviously, itineraries with Baldy, the Tooth of Time, hiking in over the Tooth, are some of the bigger draws. So there's going to be a lot of people hitting on those itineraries. My word of caution would be, don't be willy-nilly with your third, fourth, and fifth choice. You may end up hiking it. Like, oh crap, I got that itinerary and we really didn't want it. So be serious about all of your choices. because you could end up actually hiking that. So typically by very early in February, you should know what your itinerary is. And from there, you can order the maps, you can start dissecting them, uh, deciding the routes, what activities are in there, uh, and can begin to tailor a little bit of your preparation to what you're going to be expecting. As Mark said, mileage. Uh, is it a long hike? Is level of strenuousness? They rate them. What is the low one? Challenging, rugged, strenuous, super strenuous.
Yep.
And the rating is a combination of both elevation change and distance. You may only travel horizontally 2 or 3 miles, but you might have an elevation gain of 2,000 feet and back down and then up another 500, which, has its own set of challenges. So it's kind of what you want to do. And from 1 to this year, they had 1 to 24. As the numbers increase, so does the level of challenge increase. But like going back summary, December, middle to the latter part of December, you should be seeing itineraries posted, and then have your choices in mid-late January, and that's kind of the way it works. But it's all done through the gateway by the lead advisor. Yeah, and the comment down below, yeah, we used to, way back when I started, we actually had to send in a postcard, and there is no overnight delivery to Philmont. Even FedEx and UPS doesn't do an overnight.
Did you use the same Pony Express writer every time, or did you get a different one each year?
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
No, it was a scramble, first come, first serve, and I'm sure when they opened the mail at Philmont, it was just no matter what postcard they grabbed first and started plotting it. They've had some hiccups along the while, particularly when they first introduced the computer. It didn't take, and they had to have everybody resubmit 1 year.
Wow.
And, but the year, several times, it operated perfectly. When I put the itinerary in, and let's just say they said 9:00 on a Tuesday morning, by 9, I had an email and knew what trek I was on.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got it down good. But like I say, the timetable, late December, the itinerary's out. Have your choices in by late January. You usually get 4 to 6 weeks, and be very conscientious about all of your choices.
Yeah. We'll dig into how to do that process as we get a little closer to it. And I'm watching the clock. We had a couple minutes left. One of the things I wanted to cover before we left is there are other things aside from the summer program at Philmont. And it's probably kind of late to be thinking about some of these things, but others, there's probably still time if you want to do it. And I don't know which is which. So if anything here looks interesting to you, we have Autumn Adventure, which is, let's see, 2 adult leaders per crew minimum. You can have all adult crews. If you've ever heard someone say, boy, this trek would be awesome if we didn't have to bring the scouts. First thing is you should say, shame on you. Okay. Whether you mean it or not, you should say it. And then second, you should recommend to them, well, you know, you can do Autumn Adventure and it can be an all adult crew. You don't even have to bring the youth with you.
And that sometimes I've seen it used as a team building for next year when the advisors go next year and they got an idea what's going to happen, you know.
If you like your crew leader, maybe invite them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is one that happens. Autumn Adventure, shockingly, happens in the autumn. Fly fishing invitational they have listed is something completely separate. If you're into fly fishing, please click on the learn more. Leave no trace instructor course you can do out there. Pass the Philmont Advisor Skills School. You guys may have heard a few months ago when Doug was in here. Doug worked at Philmont for 10 years. He was he did lots of things. He was a ranger. He was a camp director. He has kids on staff. Like, he lives Philmont. He knows Philmont, right? Doug went to Philmont Advisor Skill School last year and said he learned things from it. So I'll just leave it at that. If someone with his experience can learn things from it, and he said it was a good program and worth people going to, please consider. It's cheap. It's not a huge time commitment. Go ahead, Darrel.
I believe I'm correct on this, but I believe Philmont is going to do a traveling pass course. They're going to be going around the country in later this year and early spring of next year, and conducting I believe they're 1-day sessions. So
they used to do that all the time.
Right.
But I went to one in our council many years ago.
Right. So watch the Philmont web pages for that, and when it might be in your area.
It didn't work. They had a link that I had not seen before. Have Philmont visit your scout meeting. And I don't know if that's supposed to be what you were just talking about, but I suspected it might be, and that link doesn't work. So keep an eye on that page. Maybe it's going to work this time. Okay, so it's a form you can fill out to request some sort of visit. That's interesting. Maybe we can get someone to come on and talk about that next month.
Yep.
I'll
work on that. I'm familiar with that program.
Excellent. Okay. Cool. Let's see. We are about out of time. I think we had the people over prepare. That was a good discussion. We'll let that discussion stand. And the one thing that I wanted to mention about tents was, if you choose to bring your own tent, make sure it doesn't have food smells in it. I think that's one of the big dangers. You know, we could have a whole nother discussion in another live about pros and cons. But the one thing that I think people often overlook, like, oh, well, our troop has tents. Well, yeah. And you've had scouts eating in them for once a month for the last year, two days a month for the last year. If you don't have, tents that are safe to take in bear country, then certainly use the Philmont tents. And if you are going to take your own, be sure that you have a plan for making sure that they are actually safe from a food smell perspective before you commit to taking them.
And if you bring your own, make sure you have repair materials. Sleeves for broken poles, patches for the, so.
Yep. Agreed. Okay. So I think, do we have anything else anyone wanted to talk about? We're sitting at 59 minutes right now. So you got like 40 seconds if anyone had anything else you wanted to mention.
You wanted that white cup?
The white cup. All right. I'm going to take the screen from everyone. I apologize. I'll make it brief. Yes. I asked Darrel to remind me to talk about this white cup. Is that amazing looking or what? So as we rotate it around, you may recognize this is basically the PDF that laid out a trek. So for me, this was last year's Trek 2024. I was with crew 715 H01. We did 1229. We don't need to talk about why Darrel called it the Trek of Shame for me. It's got the Philmont Trek Talk logo. It's got the rest of the PDF with the map on it. Then we just went through one of these. So if you would like to have your own customized cup like that, talk to Mr. Darrel Tadsen, and he will hook you up with that. I think, as everyone has finished, if anyone's looking for, want to give a thank you gift to people in your crew, to the advisors, maybe you're a parent and you stayed home and let other people deal with being advisors. Maybe you want to do something nice for them to say, hey, thanks for doing this, so our kids could go out there. That is an option that you can look into.
Yeah. And you have things on your gear report place that they can order stuff too, right?
I have all sorts of articles about all sorts of things. As we get closer to Christmas, I have an article that I will share that has gift ideas for people who are going on treks, but we're not there yet. I did forget to share this and mention it. We talked about autumn adventure. They also have the winter adventure treks. I'm going to share a link to this. It's an article with an embedded video that I shot. What was it, 2019? I can't remember. Was a few years ago. I was out in the area and stopped by Philmont and shot some videos with some people. And we've got a really great informational video about the Winter Adventure Treks program. So if that sounds interesting to you, please go check that article out. I've got the link in the chat. And if it's not interesting to you because you hate being cold like me, then understand that by the time I got done with this interview, I was ready to go on one. And I can't deal with cold. I hate being cold. I can't stand it. I thought there is no way I ever want to do a winter adventure trek. I would love to do a winter adventure trek. I just haven't been able to pull that off yet. And another thing to think about, I keep thinking of new things to talk about here. And we will talk about this maybe next month or the month after. We will talk about another opportunity that's very limited. The PSA, Philmont Stafft Association, does something called Phil Break in the spring where people can go help with some kind of low, I'm going to call them low skill projects. Mark will tell you that they do other events where people who actually are skilled tradesmen go in and donate their time and effort doing what they're expert at. Phil Break is for the people who aren't skilled tradesmen like me. If I can't go to the ones where you have to know what you're doing. I can go to this one where we're doing kind of projects that the conservation staff can teach us about quickly, and we can actually do. But it's neat. You get to stay in the housing where the staff lives and see a whole bunch of behind the scenes stuff. And then you get to go out and I'd never been to the old Rocky Mountain Scout Camp. We got to do some work there, and I'd never seen that before. I'd never seen a lot of snow at Philmont. I got to experience that. We got to do some really cool things there. I got to wear a hard hat, which was neat, cover up my shiny head. So that's good. I did get to hug one of the massive Philpots to try to, everyone knows how much I love the Philpots. So I did that. Saw some really cool things in the backcountry, behind the scenes stuff about the different work that the conservation department does. So we'll talk more about how you can be a fashionable person and attend Phil Break if that looks interesting to you. We'll cover that in one of our later monthly chats. If you're a skilled tradesperson, you can reach out to Mark and he'll help you understand what.
If it wasn't for Phil Break last spring, our week at IW would have been way worse, and we wouldn't have
yeah.
got done what we got done.
Oh, I'm telling you, the people who Indian Writings had a building at the very top of that kind of staff area that had a very steep slope behind it. And I'm telling you, the people who were back there with the shovels and pickaxes and wheelbarrows moving dirt down the hill to give room for Mark and the folks he was with, the skilled people, to come in later and do real work. It was amazing what they did. And I openly admit that I was having a little bit of a twitchy back that the days that we were at IW. I did like one or two of the wheelbarrows down the hill and said, nope, this isn't going to work. These wheelbarrows were not made for someone who is 6'4". So I couldn't do that. Those people, they were beasts though. They were amazing what the people did to facilitate the work that was done at IW. So anyhow, I'm rambling about all the cool things you can do out there. Go check out the Philmont website if you haven't already, and look at all the other things. Look at the PTC, the Philmont Training Center site, to see what courses you can take, what other programs you can do, how you can take your family out. I literally brought my whole family out to Philmont this summer so they could see it. And we stayed at the Philmont Training Center. While treks were going on, my whole family was across the street at the Philmont Training Center. So you can do that so everyone can experience it, even if they don't want to do a trek. So lots of cool stuff you can do.
And I heard from registration the other day, late in October timeframe, they'll be putting out the individual activities, OA Trail Crew, rocks, all of those individuals that you can come out as an individual, not necessarily a crew, and they'll put you together with a program. Typically, they do a week of work and then get a week. They design their own trek for the second week.
Correct.
But that information for 2026 will be coming out, I believe she said, the middle part of October.
Well, that's good to hear. All right. So since you mentioned that, I know we're trying to shut this down, but I have one more shameless plug to put out there. And a few years ago, when I was out with a crew, I went around with Jack, who was running marketing at Philmont at the time, took me to various departments, and we shot videos about each of those individual programs. So if you want to learn what ranch hands is, I have a video with Jessica from the cattle department talking about what ranch hands is and who that's a good program for. If you have someone interested in Rayado, one of the Rayado Rangers or Rayado director, I can't remember who it was, told everything that they do talk about. They don't talk about that program much. So
expect the unexpected.
Yeah. And
that's all we got.
Chago's there. Rayado. Yeah. People who've done it, they won't tell you about it, right? But we did get a little bit of information. We have the cons individual program opportunities, like rocks and some of the other things that you can hear about. So there are a few articles there on Gear Report that can help you understand what some of those options are. So you can go check those out. Okay. I think we covered everything we need to for today. We've certainly exhausted our time. We've gone 8.5 minutes over. So thank you, everyone, for squandering an hour and 8 minutes, almost an hour and 9 minutes with us. We certainly appreciate it. Matthew, thanks for being our special guest, and thanks to the rest of the panel. As always, phenomenal having such an esteemed panel here with us this evening. I think we covered everything we need to.
Anybody not ready?
Shut it down. Yes, anybody not ready?
Hi, God.
Steal my thunder, Mr.
Guys,
T.
for
What are
having
you
me
doing? Thanks so much, Matt.